Well, there is one other thing you might see Dan doing when he's no longer doing the sportscast. That could be playing one of his favorite games.
He is very good at blackjack. On one of the cruises, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't been standing there. The last night of the cruise, we were cashing in our chips, and Dan was in front of me, and they cashed a bunch. They gave him a bunch of $5 bills, whole stacks of $5 bills. He said, "Can't you give me hundreds?" And the guy looked at him and said, "Sir, you got all of them last night."
We told you he could play the game. One reason he might be leaving, according to Phil and Shady, is, well, Shade puts it best.
He said, "We're his idol. We do nothing. Phil and I do absolutely nothing." And he said he wants to learn how to do that.
Yeah, he wants to help us.
Yeah.
And in fact, Dan's pretty close to that right now. Dan won't be doing nothing, though. He'll still be doing commentaries for us once or twice a week starting in the new year. But Dan is next in sports. The phrase, love is blind. Well, if love doesn't blind, sex might. Researchers say vigorous sex can cause tiny blood vessels to break or delicate tissues at the back of the eyeball to tear, suddenly causing blurry vision.
Well, now I know what's wrong with my eyesight. Blurred vision.
You thought you were just getting old, didn't you?
Yeah. Boy, you're terrible.
Are you okay now?
Yeah. Had things a little...
My eyes have improved a whole lot lately.
Really?
Okay.
Don't understand it. Hey, before we get to the Spurs highlights and other important matters, I'd like to take a minute here to express some personal feelings. There's been a lot of hoopla and promotion about this night marking my last chore as sports anchor for the 5 and 10 p.m. newscast. First off, I'd like to thank all the nice people who have sent me cards, letters, and emails, and even some candy and balloons. Other than here and now, I can't reply to such kindness. Many of you up in the years have told me that you've watched me since you were little kids. That's heartwarming. I never want to get emotional about working, but that sign some construction workers put high on the house they've been working on next to this station, it kind of got me. Thanks, fellas. Nevertheless, boiling it all down now, the simple truth is, all I've really done is hang around for 40 years without getting fired. And there were times when I probably should have been fired. So far, well, I thank the 3 different TV owners I worked for over the years, all the different TV executives who allowed me to hang around, and all the different professionals I've worked with. Now, most of all, though, our thanks go out to the viewers who have been with me for a good while. I'm grateful to you all. Now, before I get mushy, let's get the show on the road here. Well, tonight at the Alamo Dome, the Spurs held on in the final seconds to win its 8th straight game at home, beating the Sacramento Kings 82-79. Joe Reinagel is standing by live at the Dome with highlights. Joe, sorry we held you up so long.
That's all right, Dan. Anytime. I tell you what, this was a nail-biter here at the Dome. Let's get right to the highlights if we can. Jason Williams and the Kings, they come in here on a 3-game winning streak, and, well, it was a pretty sloppy beginning in this ball game, but David Robinson would get the Spurs on the board first. Nice hook shot. In fact, that's a 4-2 lead. David would end up with 10 points on the night, but the Kings would go on an 8-0 run led by Predrag Stojakovic. It was a lot of fun. Back to you.
Thank you, Joe. He's the fellow who will be replacing me here at 5 and 10, and he's good, as you can see. And now, before we take a break, we'll check out tonight's scoreboard, then I'll be back with more. Cato is going to be in a movie and be nude.
I will pass on that one.
I think Cato's been having too much sex by himself. Well, the Texas Longhorns will be in the Holiday Bowl in San Diego on December the 29th. They'll go against an opponent yet to be decided from the Pacific 10 Conference. And it looks like the Longhorns will play either number 5 Oregon State or number 9 Oregon. Texas is on a 6-game winning streak right now, going into its 3rd straight bowl game under Coach Mack Brown.
I see a real sense of excitement about this team. I feel that the Holiday Bowl is really excited about this team, but I think this team, they can't be more excited about us than we are about going.
Well, it appears that Texas A&M may get a bid for the Alamo Bowl here to play Northwestern University. That'll be on December the 30th. And the Iguanas and the Oklahoma City Blazers hit the ice tonight at Freeman Coliseum. Iggy, the Iguana, getting a couple of things straight with a few fans at the Coliseum, and the Blazers will strike first. Joakim Anderson gets a goal of the assist from Peter Robinson, and it's 2-0 Oklahoma City. First period. The Iguanas get on the board in the second period. Scott Green gets the goal from the right side on the net, and it's 2-1 Oklahoma City. The final, the Iguanas win it 3-2.
Just seemed like another sportscast.
Yeah, except all that stuff y'all threw in.
Well, we'll be back with a little more in a moment.
Oh, God.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
I can't hit the high notes. Do you remember the words?
Showers in North Texas and a chance of rain for us.
I'm Dan Cook. We'll hear from Lloyd Daniels and...
Why you look at me?
He's looking at you like...
Look at me like I screwed him up, like I stuck a coat hanger in his ear or something, you know? Well, you know, it's been 27 years, and I suppose there's been so much I can't really go through all of it. I just want to say it's been a pleasure and a privilege, and I wouldn't trade the last 27 years for anything.
You're trying to make me cry, aren't you?
No, I'm not. He's trying to make you cry.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I wrote a little something down because I forget my name if I don't do that. About 20 years ago, when I first landed this job, one of the greatest thrills I had was the ability to work with you, because I had actually, like a lot of us out here, had grown up watching Dan Cook. Now, I call him Cookie. Nobody else gets away with that. For years I've been calling him that. He's been really an inspiration to me on a lot of different levels, but most of all, he's really been a very good friend. Now, don't let that rough exterior kind of fool you. He's really deep down a very soft and loving guy who will give you the shirt off his back even though it didn't fit me most of the time. Dan has not only been a wordsmith for half a century almost, but I kind of realize he's somewhat of a psychic. And what I mean is he's always able to sense what the rest of us are thinking about when he deals with a story or a subject, and then he expresses that on the air, and everybody at home goes, yeah, absolutely, we do that.
Exactly.
We just can't do it. I've been very fortunate to sit next to these guys, especially to Dan. It's been my pleasure to sit with him on this set. So the best stories I'm going to probably tell and the best memories I'm going to have to do with you.
Well, I thank you both. It's been a pleasure working with you, but I'm not going to say anything nicer than that.
Okay.
I like you both. You're great guys.
We also realized there wasn't a thing we could give you that had anything to do with sports that you haven't had or whatever, but most people don't know you really like the gangster era of the 1930s. You have a crime encyclopedia you've read many times.
What do you got
so
there?
Albert and I got together to get you an actual wanted poster for John Dillinger from 1934.
And I never knew his middle name was Herbert.
Herbert Dillinger. There you go. And if you find him, you can still get $10,000 too.
I'll have to dig him up. Hey, thank you. That's great. I appreciate it.
And most people, of course, know that you invented the phrase, the opera ain't over till the fat lady sings, 21 years ago.
Yes, I think she's about to sing.
And if she could, I think this opera is about over, Dan.
I think it is.
And she looks just like I'd always dreamed.
Where is she?
Take him out to the ball game. Take him out for a beer. Now he's retired and can relax. Buy him some peanuts and Cracker Jacks, and we'll say goodbye to our dear friend. Yes, we'll miss him. Just take a look for